Hey everyone, Ershun here and welcome to my channel. This is my first ever video and I'm really excited for everything that I'm going to be doing on this channel. For today's video, I'm going to be discussing the book Secret Waters by Meira Chand. Meira Chand is one of the first few Singaporean authors whose books I read and I was not disappointed. Meira Chand is also the SG Author of the Month, and she's also best known for her other novel, A Different Sky, which is on Oprah Winfrey's book club list of recommendations. Meira Chand is of Indian Swiss heritage, and she has lived in countries such as Japan, Singapore, and India. Her novels are also greatly influenced by the different countries that she's lived in. This is her ninth novel, and it was published last year in 2017. So I actually had the opportunity to meet Meira last week at the Singapore Literature Book Club, which is a book club that discusses books that are set in Singapore, as well as books that are written by local Singaporean authors. I really enjoyed listening to Meira speak about Sacred Waters, and I thought that she was really smart, I thought that she was really intelligent, and I thought she was really sophisticated as well. So, how did I go about finding this book? This book was actually recommended to me by one of my classmates in my public speaking class. She actually did a summary of this book during one of our sessions, and after listening to her summary, I really wanted to read this book. I thought it was really eventful and I thought it was really interesting. This book is 400 pages and I read it in 4 days because I wanted to read it in time for the book club. It is a historical fiction novel and it was written as part of Meira's PhD. And writing a regular fiction novel is very different from writing a novel as part of your PhD. When you write a fictional novel as part of your PhD, whatever you write in your book has to be substantiated with a lot of evidence, and that's what I really liked about this book. I really liked that it was factual and minus the fictional characters, of course. I really learned a lot from this book. I learned a lot about what Singapore was like in the past, and I also learned about all the struggles that women had to go through in the past. Alright, so let's get straight into the review. This book opens up with a very powerful scene. In the opening scene, the main character, Sita, is 5 or 6 years old, and she is in the field with her mother gathering herbs. And when suddenly her mother stumbles to the side of the fields into the grass, um, Sita doesn't know what's going on. She's a bit worried, so she goes to check on her mother. And when she finds her mother, she sees her mother giving birth to her sister and taking the child and bringing her to the river to wash. Sita sees that the baby is one moment in her mother's arms, and in the next moment, Sita sees the baby floating away. And Sita is so alarmed. She doesn't understand what's going on. She looks to her mother to try and understand the situation, but her mother just looks at her and says to her in a very normal tone of voice, Sita, it's alright. It was just a girl. It was an accident. The current was so strong that it just snatched the child away from my arms. But it's all right. The river god will take care of your sister. And I thought um, this was such a good scene to open up the book with. It really set the stage for the rest of the novel. It just showed how vulnerable and helpless newborn girls were, and it just shows the perception that society had about girls in general. And so I thought it was a real eye opener to open the book with that scene. So fast forward, and Sita has just lost her parents. She's now orphaned together with her older brother dead, and they live with their grandmother. A while later, her brother Dev tells Sita that he will be going to a faraway land, to be going to Singapore, because the prospects are a lot better there than in India. But he promises that he will send Sita letters and send her money. So Sita is now in the care of her grandmother, and to comfort her at night, her grandmother would tell her a lot of stories. And one of Sita's favorite stories was the story of how the great goddess Devi came to be. And this is also one of my favorite stories in the book as well. And it goes like this. A long time ago, there was a great devil that was terrorizing the world, and the male gods could not stop this devil. So what the male gods did is they came together and decided to pray to the great source for guidance and for help. And from their prayers, a female god emerged, and the male gods were very puzzled and they weren't very happy that their prayers brought about a female god. They laughed at Devi and they just couldn't imagine how a female god could defeat the devil when they, with their masculine powers, could not. So fortunately, the Devi does manage to defeat the devil, and how she does this is that she looks within herself. She gathers all the courage and energy that she has within. She really looks into herself and gathers that energy from within to find the courage to fight this great monster. And I really like this idea visually, the idea that in times of great hardship, we can look into ourselves, we can rely on ourselves to find the power and courage to deal with whatever we're going through. And that just visually is something I really liked when reading the book. Unfortunately, Sita's grandmother passes away soon, and Sita is now alone, and she's left in the care of her Kanta auntie. And Kanta auntie is not the nicest of people. She treats Sita basically like a slave, and she tells Sita things like, oh, we can't afford to keep you like the rest of our daughters. You're gonna have to do all the housework in this household. And she says, and Kanta auntie and her husband say all kinds of awful things about her brother as well, and says things like, oh, your brother is so rash and so irresponsible to have left you here after your parents have died. After your parents have died, it is the responsibility of the brother to get his sister married and not our responsibility. Why has he left it to us? That is so irresponsible. So they're not very supportive of Sita and her brother's situation. And a while later, Kant auntie comes to Sita and tells her that she will have to get married soon and that they found um, a man for her to marry, and this man is in his 50s, so he's much older than Sita, who is about 13 or 14 at this point of time. And Sita is very scared. She obviously doesn't want to get married to this man because he's so much older, but she doesn't really have a choice because she has nowhere else to go. She's only 13. So she has to go through with the wedding ceremony. But during the ritual, she asks for help from the great Devi, and she prays to her and she asks the Devi, please protect me. And fortunately, Sita's wishes are answered. And towards the end of the wedding ceremony, when it's finished, her husband collapses onto the floor in an epileptic fit and dies. And so Sita is saved. However, this is the start of all the mayhem in Sita's life. She's basically blamed for her husband's death, and Everyone at the wedding starts saying all kinds of terrible things to her. They say things to her like, "You witch, you most sinful creatures. A good wife dies before her husband. Eh, Bhagavan, what have we done to deserve such a shaitan in our lives?" And Sita is just so scared, and she tries to call for help for her Kanta auntie, but she sees her Kanta auntie just run away from the situation because she no longer has to look after Sita because the ceremony is already over, so she is now legally in the hands of her in-laws. And that makes Sita very upset, and she felt very alone. The in-laws don't want to have anything to do with Sita. They perform the widow ritual on her, they shave her head, and they send her off to a widow house. At the widow house, Sita hears of all the terrible things that widows have to go through, and that she must go through as well. She learns that widows are thought of as dead, the living dead. She learns that she can only have one meal a day and that she can no longer eat spicy foods. The reason being is that because widows are dead things, they are to be kept weak and they're not allowed to have their feelings stirred up um, or their body as well. It's supposed to be lifeless and dead. And Sita learns that the only thing that she can do is sing for people because everyone thinks of them as the living dead, their prayers will reach the gods a lot quicker. And Sita is just trying to get used to all of this, and then finally she hears that widows are also prostituted, and that sends Sita into a deep shock. She falls very ill and she has to be taken to a doctor. At the doctor, she's treated by this lady called Dr. Sen, and Dr. Sen basically saves Sita. Um, up, Dr. Sen knows that after Sita recovers, she will have to go back to the widow house, and she knows that Sita will be stuck in the widow house forever, and that she will have to go through all the struggles of a widow, and she didn't want that to happen to Sita because Sita was only 13 or 14 years old, and she just felt that she had to do something to help this girl. So Dr. Sen helps Sita write a letter to her brother in Singapore to ask for help. And this is where I'm going to stop the review for today. You'll need to read the rest of the book to find out what happens next. So now I just want to highlight one or two concepts in the book that I found interesting. One of them is the idea that identity is very fluid, it changes very fast, and the idea that change is all around us and we have to accept it. This was portrayed really well in the book. Sita was first orphaned and then she became a wife, and then the same day she became a widow, so it just shows how fluid your identity is. And throughout the book, no matter what Sita was going through, she was always prepared for her biggest change. And I think that attitude is something to really look up to, the attitude that I know change is coming and I know I can't stop it, but I'm going to be um, as positive as I can about it, and I'm going to be brave in the situation. The second concept in the book that I found really prevalent was the concept that women have no voice, that women just accept silence and they just accept the fate that is bestowed upon them, and this is very evident. For example, when Sita had to get married to that man, she didn't have a choice and she felt that she couldn't speak up. And I think the reason why a lot of women back in those days felt like they didn't have voices because it could be because they were illiterate, so they may have felt like they didn't have the right to speak out against men, and they didn't have a right to make decisions for themselves. So why should you pick up this book finally? You should pick up this book to learn more about Singapore's past, but with a fictional twist. You should pick up this book to learn more about the struggles of women um, back in the day. All of the things that I read in the book were very shocking. For example, the widow house, and what's even more shocking is that these widow houses still exist today in India, and these things are still happening to women over the world as well. And you should also read this book because Meira Chand has a very beautiful style of writing. So throughout the book, a lot of times you sort of know change is coming. You know something is about to happen, but you don't exactly know what. And so Mira always keeps you on your toes. You'll always be second guessing, and I think that's one of the one of the best things that I love about Sacred Waters is that it's very interesting, and I couldn't guess what was going to happen next. So that was my review of Sacred Waters. I hope that you learned a bit more about this book, and I hope that you will go out and get this book either from the library or buy it from a bookstore. And also do let me know what you thought of my video. I obviously want to make good videos, so I really need all your feedback. Let me know what you liked about my video, let me know what you disliked, and I will look at your feedback and see how I can improve from there. So that has been my review of Sacred Waters by Meira Chand. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!